Alright, so we begin my fourth week here in the Phoenix area, and already in a couple weeks, I really feel accepted for who I am. So on the news this past week, there was something that is my worst nightmare. There had been some reports of product tampering, of people putting fentanyl in candy, and they were warning parents to watch out during Halloween. Now that hits me hard. I lost a couple close friends of mine to drug addiction, and I personally have an addictive personality myself. So for example, earlier this month I discovered how to make jewelry out of bismuth, and the first thing I did was to order 100 pounds of bismuth, and I instantly poured it all into all sorts of interesting pharaohs and pyramids. And so I did that within like a few hours, because when I got the hang of it, oh my god, I couldn't get enough of it. I have addictive eating disorders sometimes. I have addictive, I had a masturbating problem last year. Now, most people think masturbating is a harmless activity, but for me it was getting in the way of my social life. So even if I don't take an overdose of fentanyl from these tampered products, I get, it's potentially a death sentence, right? Maybe not instant death. And so lately, when I've been shopping for groceries, I've been paying very close attention to product tampering. And ironically, we're also at the 40th anniversary of the biggest product tampering case in United States history, where somebody tampered with Tylenol and put cyanide in it. Right? I'd rather be a victim of that than the fentanyl, because just what I've witnessed with friends of mine who have gone in and out of drug addiction and then ended up losing their life to it. I've seen it a few times. And so I was telling my coworkers about this. I also used it as an opportunity to refuse food. I said, I'm a little bit cautious because of issues like that. And I didn't tell the kids at the tutoring center. I told the other adults to please be careful. Maybe I'll take a pass. And nobody laughed at me, actually. And I kind of used it as a convenient scapegoat, because there were other reasons I wanted to refuse food. And that was all good. I also told the real reason I wanted to refuse food a couple of times without a hitch. But the last couple of days I've been able to add this to it. So that's good. Now, I work at a tutoring center now. When I was back home in Seattle, I had a boss that really upset me, because he would schedule me last minute. It was like I couldn't even be away from Seattle, because I never knew when I would get the call that there's something in half an hour. Now, people say I could refuse to go there if that's the case. You know what? He made it seem like my future opportunities would be in jeopardy if I didn't go. And so often, one time I was in Ellensburg, about a 2-hour drive away, when he called me within the 4 hours before the session was to start. And I told him the situation. I got to drive back from Ellensburg. Yeah, you got 4 hours. Well, I hadn't planned it, right? And here's the kicker. So next week the students have a fall break, and my boss straight up told me, next week you'll probably only get 15 hours. So do you want it? And he laid it out for me, and that's similar to what would happen over in Seattle, except my boss expected me to go. But you know what? I actually want to do those 15 hours now, because I told my boss, if the students need me enough to come during fall break instead of going on vacation, I can't let them down. And so my conclusion is that my former boss back home in Seattle not only put me in a lot of inconvenience, but he made a poor business choice. The end result was the same. He could have got me to work those 15 hours in either direction, but he created a lot of morale issues, right? And a lot of times, my coworkers, they would get time off for various things. I had a coworker who was going to his niece's birthday party, another coworker who was going to graduation. Actually, come to think of it, I had a coworker who was Jewish. I bet he got yesterday off. And meanwhile, every time I needed time off, there was something in the way, right? And so I think he made a poor business. He could have got me to work the very same hours, but made me feel good about working them, right? Anyways, I continue to get a sense of acceptance for who I am, and so I'm going to be very watchful for product tampering issues over the coming well, I guess forever really, but especially in the near future. And I'm scared to death about ever having to take drugs. I really am. Just witnessing what I've witnessed and the fact that I have an addictive personality, it makes me, it really gives me pause to think about how close we are to issues. So at my workplace, I've been really guarding my food like a hawk, right? I really hesitate about even leaving my food out. I take it with me. You gotta understand, we work with a lot of teenage kids, and people accept me for that too. So it's good. In Seattle, people would have thought I was paranoid, but we understand. I explained to them how I had gotten off of various addictions in the past. See, over in Seattle, I wouldn't dare tell people that I had addictive problems. Oh my God! The number of people who would try to harass me by putting something in my food or joking about giving me drugs, it would drive the whole place insane. But over here in Phoenix, I can say, I'm going to be a little bit more cautious, take my food with me, even when I go to the bathroom because of what I've been seeing in our current events. And A-OK.